There's no I'm starting like that. No, I've had some calamities in my day, but this is probably the single worst mistake I've ever made on a gig ever. Before we get started, I wanted to share this story because A, it's pretty funny how someone as neurotic and careful as I am could make such a big mistake, and B, because to a certain degree, all of the care and over preparedness actually paid off and saved my ass in the end. I was booked to play a show in Seattle that'll remain unnamed, and because I live in Portland, I just decided to do the 3 hour drive up and back instead of worrying about a hotel or anything. The show had two stages, and a good friend of mine and at the time business partner, Vitabot, was also booked to play the show, and he was opening the main stage, and I was closing the side stage. And we both had a group of friends coming with us, and a table waiting for us when we got to the venue, so we decided to just drive up separately, we would meet in town, we would get some food, and then we would go into the venue. Well, as it turns out, all of my friends bailed on me, so I ended up driving up alone, which wasn't a big deal because I always keep the playlist for the night on my phone on the way to a show, and so I get to listen to it one more time before the show in case I want to make any last-minute changes. So I get up to the area, I find a place to park, and I text Wyatt, who says he's just up the road. We meet up, and I notice that he's alone, so I ask him, "Hey, where is everybody?" He said everyone bailed on him, so he just came by himself. Not only did we both have cars that were emptied before we left, we both had assumed that the other person's car was still full, so instead of mentioning it, we both drove alone. Oops. So, alone, we go to a food spot nearby that most of the artists for the night were going to meet up at and hang out. And neither of us had really met any of these guys since they were almost all Seattle locals and they all kind of knew each other, so it was good to make introductions and put faces to the names that I'd been seeing on Facebook and whatnot. And then we head into the venue that's right across the street. And there's something you need to know about me, which is that I do my best to over-prepare for everything when it comes to music. If I'm opening for an artist I'm not super familiar with, I will listen to their live sets and try and understand what they're like, and listen to every song they've put out in the past 2 years so I kind of know what they're likely to be playing at the show. If I'm leaving my house, I have a flash drive and earplugs on me every time, just in case, and this has actually come in handy a few times. I've been somewhere and they've gone, "Oh, hey, we're doing an after party, you wanna," or, "Hey, actually, while I'm out at a bar, my friend's like, hey, we're going to a show later, do you wanna come?" Got my earplugs, good to go. If I'm heading to a gig, I usually have 2 or 3 flash drives and an extra pair of glasses because I'm very, very blind without my glasses, and 2 pairs of earplugs in case I lose one. I'm just so worried that something will stop my performance or otherwise get in the way of me bringing 100% of what I feel like I can deliver to this performance that I try and cover every possibility that I can find. And as part of this, I have a habit of getting to venues early and plugging my flash drive in as soon as the sound crew will let me, and just playing a song or two. I just need to confirm that my flash drives aren't corrupted, my data's as it should be, I have the most recent version of the playlist that I want to use, etc. I just need to make sure that everything's good to go. Otherwise I get like flash drive anxiety. So we finally get to walk through the venue, and I find my stage, and I go to plug in my flash drive. And I go to pat the pocket where my flash drive should be, and then no drive. And I open up my pocket and I look in and nothing. Well, that's strange, but I probably just put all 3 in my backpack. I usually keep some in my backpack in case my jacket gets lost, some in my jacket in case my backpack gets lost. It's thinking. So I probably just put all 3 in my backpack. I was in a rush to get going. I had a long drive. I was very excited. So I go and I grab my backpack and I open it, and no drive. Not in the pocket I usually keep it in. Well, maybe the bottom of the bag. Nothing. Maybe my other jacket pockets. Nothing. I'm starting to get a little panicky now, a little short of breath, but keep it together. Could not be a big deal. Make sure you check everything before you panic. I go out to my car and I check under the seats. I check in the cup holders. I check in the glove compartment. Nothing. Check the jacket again. Nothing. Take everything out of my backpack and spread it out in my trunk. Nothing. I'm scared. It's not like I can just go home and make a new one. Home is 3 hours away and I start playing in 4 hours. I don't even have my backup flash drive that I keep in my bag for emergencies. I don't understand what happened. I try and remember where was the last place that I saw any of my drives. Last I remember, I was making some last minute changes and uploading the latest version of some of the IDs I'd been working on to the drives, and that was this morning. So could they still be there? I have to know for sure. I have to know. So I call my roommate and I ask her for a favor. I think she can tell something's wrong just by my voice. I need her to go into my room and look at my computer. and she tells me there are 2 flash drives plugged into my computer and one sitting on my desk next to the mouse. I say thank you and I hang up. I'm sitting alone in my car trying not to cry. All of my hard work and my preparation, how could I let this happen? Obviously, looking back, not being able to perform that night wouldn't have been the end of the world, but I took it so seriously, and I still take it that seriously. I don't get to go to Seattle often, and I knew that people had wanted to see me play for the first time, so I start taking inventory. What do I have? How can I salvage this? It's not like I can just play my entire set off my phone, or... Wait, I have my phone. I put all of my songs on my phone so that I could listen to them on the drive. The entire playlist is on my phone. Sure, they're not in the right order, and they don't have hot cues or beat grids or waveforms or anything, and they definitely don't have key and BPM information, but I have the files. I'll need to get a flash drive. Maybe I could put the files on the flash drive, which means I'll need a laptop to move the files off of my phone and onto the drive, and preferably a laptop with Rekordbox so that I can put them into a proper playlist, and maybe even get them in the right order. Okay, I have a plan. I go back inside. The show's already started at this point. Wyatt's on stage, so I sit at our booth alone because all of our friends bailed, and I'm thinking, and my leg is bouncing, and I find one of the other DJs playing that night and I ask him if he has his laptop with him. No luck, but he knows somebody who does. So we go to him, and I explain that I need to borrow his laptop, and I explain why. He says that's fine, and he's happy to help. So I get a napkin and a pen from the bar, and I go back to my car and I call my roommate again. This is going to be tricky. I ask her to go to my room and log her into my computer, and then I have her step by step going through Rekordbox, finding the playlist for that night, making sure it's set to playlist order instead of alphabetical order, almost made that mistake, and then I have her read every single song and artist in the entire playlist in order. It's about 75 or 80 tracks. And I write them on a bar napkin. Set list, check. Okay, so I go back inside. Wyatt's almost done. And I'm very thankful at this point that I don't drink, because if I did, I would be way too far gone to pull this set off at this point, just out of anxiety drinking. When he gets off stage, I explain the idea that I've come up with, and I ask him if I can use his flash drive. And he says sure. So I get the flash drive, and there's not room for both of our sets on there, so I have to wipe his set off. And then I drag all the files from my phone into Rekordbox on the other DJ's laptop, put them in the right order while trying to read them off of bar napkins in club lighting in the back of the venue, and then I export all the files onto the flash drive. Keep in mind, there's no green room, so I'm just literally sitting in the club. I get most of the tracks moved over, and there's no time to recheck the drive now because the decks are being used by the people playing before me. So I get up on stage, it's my time, and I plug in, and just like I thought, no waveforms, no beat grids, no hot cues, but I have the files. And thank goodness I have my DJ fundamentals down. This is exactly the kind of situation I talk about when I say it's important to know how to beat match, even if you use sync. You never know when something like this is going to happen, or a button's going to be broken, and no amount of preparation is going to prepare you for a situation like this. If you know your DJ fundamentals, you can rule out a large amount of otherwise bad sets that you can still pull off. The set goes okay. I'm not super happy with it, but it works, and Wyatt and I get to drive home separately. There are 2 lessons that I want everyone to understand from this story, and the first one is that no amount of preparation will save you every time. Obviously, I always recommend preparing for any situation you can foresee, and that's what I do, and I have a lot of contingencies set in place, but eventually things will always go wrong in a way that you're not ready for. And the second lesson is that when things do go wrong, there's almost always a better solution than just giving up. Quick thinking, creative use of resources around you, and being honest about your problem has saved my ass many times. If I had just not been able to swallow my pride and tell another DJ, hey, I messed up. I left my entire set in a different state. Can I please borrow your computer so that I can try and fix this? That was embarrassing to do, but if I'd never done that, then I wouldn't have been able to play the set. So please learn from my mistakes. Never start your car without your flash drives, or you might end up hours away with empty hands. Now go practice mixing with unprocessed files and no screen.
Do you love me?